Hey guys, this is Nikos here. This is my friend Juho. You may have known him from the Survive.js website, where he's contributed a lot to the feature of the Webpack core team and the Survive.js Webpack book. And he's also a contributor in open source, created things like the React data table, was it?
React Tabular.
React Tabular, and he's recently moved into conferencing. So, focus of this material and content today is about creating developer conferences from pretty much scratch. So, how are you doing today, sir?
Yeah, it's too hot for me in Vienna, so it's really too hot because it's like humid and hot, and that's the worst.
Yeah, there's a few months in Vienna which are quite hot every year. Central Europe.
Yeah.
Vienna, Budapest, all these sort of landlocked countries get the heat quite a lot. So, Juho, how is the conferences going that you've been doing the past couple of years?
Yeah, so it all started with React Finland. It was more like a joke at first because there was a developer that got in touch with some friends, and it was like nothing is happening in Finland, or hasn't been happening for a couple of years. So there was a web conference a couple of years back, but then it died or it went away, and then it was like maybe we'll do a conference, and he proposed that we should do it about React. And then what happened next? I reached out to my friends, developer friends, like these famous React developers and whoever, and then I got some speakers for us, and then they got the venue, and then it was impossible to like turn back. Once you have venue, dates, and some speakers, then you have to do it.
So was React Finland the first conference?
That was the first conference, and that was like last year. So because we did the second edition this year, and last year we actually did another one, GraphQL Finland. So that was around October, and it was a coincidence because one of our volunteers from the first React Finland proposed that we should do a GraphQL conference. So then we did GraphQL conference.
So how many conferences have you run now?
I think it's around three conferences, and now we're planning 2 or 3 more.
So I realise you've built some tooling around making conferences. Can you explain a little bit about how that works?
Yeah, so for me, conferences, they're more like a long-term investment. So it made sense for me to put some time into developing tooling. And by tooling, I mean not just website, but an API. An API to support website or mobile app, or like, because you need graphics, you need schedules, you need batches and all that. So I built tooling to do all this. So in the future, when I do a conference, I can get the site up really fast. I can do the graphics I need really fast, and all sorts of things.
So coming into the conference scene, what advantages did you have that enabled it to be less of a painful experience for a brand new conference organizer?
I think now that I see things a little better, I think the main thing we had on our side was the market. I think the Finnish market is very, very good for us because it's full of hungry developers and companies that are willing to support these kind of things. So for us and for the community around us, it's more like a focal point in the year. So when we do the event, actually companies begin to do their own events or meetups, and a lot of things happen around the conference. So I think that was the main thing for me, just knowing that there's demand for what you do.
Okay. So what was the biggest challenges for your first conference?
I think the biggest challenge with these things is getting organized. Because for us, we have to work, so we have some people in Helsinki, and then I'm abroad, and we have to collaborate. So we have to do this online, and just like building this trust, and like figuring out who is doing and what, and making sure things get done. When you're like working in a volunteer organization, it's the hard part.
So how did you manage to keep in sync all these moving parts, like all your speakers, all the venue providers, and how did you just manage to keep a tabs of where everybody was at, so nobody was like missing that had the wrong flights, the wrong hotels, something like that?
Yeah, so for now we've kept it simple, and it's just a spreadsheet on Google Drive. So I have one spreadsheet. It always begins when I do a conference. It begins like this. So I go to Google Drive, I pick up my budget spreadsheet, I copy it over. Then I type some numbers, figure out if it's viable. I figure out the numbers, how many people I need, and so on. So I know what a working conference would look like. Because when I know the numbers, then I roughly know what I need to achieve, and this helps to set the targets.
So is that spreadsheet you gave to your people that are speaking, or is that something you filled out yourself?
So the budget and the spreadsheet we have is for internal use. And this is where I actually, at the moment, I track everything. I track the speakers and when someone is coming, when they're going, and all that. But of course, for me, it's not the ideal case. So what I would actually prefer is to push these aspects to my own system. Because I already have GraphQL API for conference, so it's not a big leap from that to something I can maintain on my own without having to use Google Drive at all. Because this will be more. I mean, this is less painful for me to have everything in one place. Now it's split in two.
Cool. So now that you've run 3 conferences now, and you're running another one this year, React Vienna coming up, I believe.
So the Vienna conference is called Halfstack.
Halfstack, right?
So Halfstack Vienna it's a format from London. So originally the Halfstack is from London, and they've been running it for a couple of years. And now the main organizer wanted to bring it to Vienna and a couple of other cities. So I'm helping with that, and then we're planning a new conference in Finland called Freezing Edge. We're still waiting confirmation from the venue, so we can actually go forward with it.
So I've seen other people do conferences, big conferences, and it's almost like a full-time job doing it, and they're lucky if they break even. It's quite a big risk, but I guess if you get by the first year, second year, then how do things improve after like the fourth conference, third conference?
So I mean, it's really market dependent, but I would say that for the first one, you should not expect to make profit. You're lucky to break even on that. And when it comes to budgeting, it's important to think about how much money you might even get from sponsors, how much sales you need. Because you have to somehow balance this, because if your conference is driven by sponsors, well, you will see it in the conference. So it really sets the feeling if depending on where the money comes. So for me, I try to budget so that ticket sales, they get me the conference, and sponsors help me to make the conference better.
Okay. So I heard quite a lot of good feedback about your style of conference. Well, the first one even in React Finland. What was it about your conference that made it so popular for the smallish amount of people that were there, I guess?
Yeah, so the first one was about 300 people.
Well, it's not small, 300.
Yeah, it was sold out, and the second one was about 400.
Sold out first conference?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean, the market.
Listen to this guy.
Yeah, but it's about the market, because Finland was the right place to do the conference.
Yeah.
So I have to get back to my question.
So, like, I heard that your conference was quite popular. What was it about the conference that made it so popular with the devs?
I think for us it's about the community feeling, because we are able to bring the people together. In Finland, it's 5.5 million people and maybe 300,000 developers. I don't know the exact amount.
Quite a high proportion.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of developers. But the point is that for them, it's fun to see other developers from Finland, and more importantly, for them it's really fun to see these developers from abroad. So we attract maybe 20-30% of attendees from abroad, so mainly from Central Europe and so. But for them, it's like this meeting point, and they get to see their idols, and they get lots of ideas which they can use in their daily work. So it's like having this point of focus, and I think one of the points is that the way we run it, the format we have, it's a little different. So of course, other people run single track conferences as well. So it's running in single track. But especially this year, I decided based on an experiment I made on the first year. So I changed the format a little bit. So on the first year, what I did, so we had topic was reason, and then I decided it might be fun if we had two presentations about reason. So one was like really theoretical one, like explaining what's reason and how it goes, how do you use this language, and the second presentation after this was really practical. So you could see the language in action. And as it happened, it was really good idea for us to do it, because then you can see the topic from different angles. So then we ran with the idea, and this year we did these team sessions. So we had like a team like styling or state management or React Native, different teams, and inside that team you have 2 to 4 presentations that are somehow related. So if you want to learn more about styling, then you come to the styling session and we explain it from different angles. So for us, I think that's one of the things we should keep. Just finding the format was very important for us.
Cool. So you've pretty much become almost like a. I mean, there's a lot of big companies out there that run conferences, but they have a large team of like just everything that goes into it. You know, making websites for conferences and the business people, etc., etc. But you've sort of managed to pull this off basically as a one-man band with contractors.
Well,
it works.
Well, not really. I mean, it's about 7 to 8 volunteers.
Right.
But I think now with tooling in place, it's much less work for the next ones. Of course, you have to do lots of communication and marketing and this kind of things you cannot avoid. But it's true that we don't like have lots of resources to use, so we have to be very efficient about how we use the resources. I think in terms of using money, I spent some money on the redesign of the site. So for the first year, I did the first site. I did nice API for that, and I hired my friend for 2 days. So we worked 2 days on the site. We did entirely new team for it, and now it's paying off because the team is good enough for it to use, like for the next ones.
So how, say if somebody is doing conferences, how do you market a conference, a tech conference, especially in a new greenfield area, and then how do you market like in the existing market? It's already been conferences.
Yeah, I will say that's it can be really tough. So for us, what somehow worked was approach which combined content marketing. So I wrote a lot of blog posts and I try to get people to read them, and then the point is to tell not just about the conference but about the culture and Finland and the country and like different angles. So not so much about selling but more about telling. And the other part I think is word of mouth. So especially now that people know the brand, know the conference, they tell to their friends about the experience they had, and this converts to sales quite well. Of course, in the first one you don't have this. So for the first one, we were lucky to have this excitement in the market, in the community, that they really wanted the event. So for them, just having the event alone and like being aware of the event helped a lot us. But it's different if you are working in a market that's somehow saturated, that's full of conferences, or something doesn't work. Maybe the price is too high, or the offering is somehow wrong. Then you have to work around these marketing problems somehow.
Okay. So what kind of sponsors are most attracted and most benefit from conferences such as React Vienna, React Finland, GraphQL?
So in Finland, I think now that I know the Finnish market and Austrian market a little better, what we have is, and what they don't have here in Austria, if I understand right, is a group of quite young consulting companies that grew really fast in like past 5 years or so. So they grew from scratch to like 300 people or so really fast. And we have many of these companies, and they compete with each other. Of course, they collaborate at times, but they compete. And for them, it's very cool if they are able to be visible in the community, because for them it's also about recruiting and like having a good image. So for them, it makes a lot of sense to sponsor our event.
Get recruiters wanting to sponsor as well.
We don't really like the recruiting aspect is kind of underneath. So it's a consulting companies mainly, or companies doing some heavy development with React. Like one of the companies is a media house, so they publish a lot, but they use React. And one is like this e-commerce platform or shop. So yeah, well, what's in common with these companies that they use React or they use GraphQL or so.
So when it comes to venues, for my meetups in London, most of my venues have been recruitment agencies that have basically let me use their conference room, and now Skills Matter let me run the TensorFlow meetup in London.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about picking the right venue?
So I think we got, for the first one, we got actually a really expensive venue that was just about enough for us. It was even a little small, but it was really, it looked amazing. And I think with the first one, you cannot afford to fail too much, because if it goes badly, you won't have a second conference. So for the first year, it was important to have this space. For the second conference we did, and for second React Finland, we changed the venue. So we got somehow lucky, and we found really big venue that can fit, maybe we could fit 600 people in the main hall if we wanted. But the venue we found is really good for us. There's even too much space. It has restaurants, it's historical building, it has a tower, and it's cheaper because the location is not so good as for the first one. So I think it's always this compromise. So you have to look into like location and the space itself and price. So it's somehow a combination of these factors. So if we want something in the center of the city that's really nice, it's likely going to be really expensive. So if you can relax the location requirements somehow and find something that's a little outside of the center but still reachable, you can likely get a really good space for less money.
Okay. Alright, so coming close to the end, what advice would you give to other fledgling conference providers or even existing conference providers that want to move into tech conferences?
I think I will actually start from a meetup, because if you start from a meetup, it allows you to like grow audience, test the market. It's low investment, because all you need is a space and a couple of speakers, and then if it looks like there's demand, you can convert the meetup to a conference. So I will not actually start with a conference. I will do something else before going to this direction, because it's going to like make it less risky for you to run a conference.
Yeah, that's one of the things that maybe I'd like to do with my TensorFlow JS meetup, but it's very hard to find speakers on it. The last time I ran that meetup, it was me for like 2.5 hours talking.
So likely you have to be able to like speak yourself. That's true.
Yeah.
So it can be tricky to find speakers, but then I think at the same time you have to be able to look at the right places. And maybe the thing is, if you want the full talk, it might be too much for some people, because they might have something to say, but they are not so sure about what you're saying. So what I mean is that having more open session where you can just go and show what you did with TensorFlow or React or whatever, it can be one option. Because I think finding a format that fits the audience, it's important.
Cool. Okay, Juho, so where do you see yourself in 2 or 3 years? Do you see yourself more still developing, or do you see yourself more consulting or running conferences, or even something else?
It's really tricky to tell at the moment, but I think for me, I would enjoy doing something in the intersection of marketing and development. So for a couple of months, I've been doing a client case for now. It's mostly just development. I can do development all I want, but for me, it's more rewarding to do something I sort of own, something where I can do more than just coding.
Okay, great. Well, that's Juho, and he's giving us really expert frontline advice on tech conferences, and I'm sure you'll hear a lot more from him as he develops his business. And thanks so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yep.